Hi, this is Anita from the Dusty Roads podcast. Today I want to talk a little bit about modern travel, and particularly about modern travel and learning to travel in the moment. The reason why I began to think about this was I was recently doing some work on some of my family's history. I began to learn a bit about my father's cousin, who was a bamboo expert for the United States government and lived in China from like 1910 to the 1940s. In fact, he left China like in 1941. And as I was, learning more about him and his life, it really struck me that, here he was in China during this time when it took a long time to get a letter. It took a long time to be able to hear news from home, but yet they were able to live and travel in these foreign countries and be able not just survive there, but also thrive there. I thought about me and my own life and how when I first, traveled in China in the mid 1980s, there, was no internet there. And so, communication was hard. Cell phones were difficult, but somehow we survived. And I think because of the fact that we were traveling that way, we had to live more in the moment. We had to be more in the moment and more present with our travel than we would have been otherwise. Today, travel is quite different in that, that you can live in this, that we live in this world that's so interconnected. And I think a lot of people wonder, like, can you travel or live without internet? I mean, what happens if I can't check my Facebook every day? If I can't write up on Facebook about where I've gone or what I've done? How will I be able to live or survive? Well, the truth of the matter is that you can travel and you can live without internet, and it can become a great experience. I want to talk about 7 tips to learn to travel to live in the moment, and some things that you can do, things that I see as I live and work here in Hanoi, Vietnam. And I see people doing here, and I wonder sometimes, like, why did you even bother to travel? First of all, get your face out of your phone. There's no reason to be walking down the street in a foreign country with your face looking down on your phone the whole time and not experiencing your surroundings around you. If all you're going to do is text your friends and tell them what you're doing, that's not really travel. That's just kind of more or less you going to a foreign country to text your friends and say, hey, I'm here. I don't see that really as living in the moment, the real moment of travel. Be selective in your posting. You don't have to post all day. In fact, you can experience the travel. You could go home to your hotel at night. If you want to post, spend an hour doing the posting and then be done with it. And then the next day, maybe at breakfast or something like that, check out the post, maybe say hi to a few people, and then let it go and go explore the next day. You don't have to post every single minute about every single thing you're doing, or you can wait and do some of your posts when you actually get home and then tell people, hey, I went on this trip, and then post about it. You could try to live without the internet. We can live without the internet. People traveled for centuries without the internet and survived. And so you can live without the internet and be able to survive. Learn to immerse yourself in the local culture. Be present there in the local culture and immerse yourself in it so you can really experience it, because most people in your travel, you're only there for a certain period of time. So make the most of that time that you're there. Forge local connections. Get to know local people. Become their friends. Talk to them if you can. If you can speak some of their language or they can speak some English, get to know some of them. Find out about their lives. Educate yourself about your destination. Learn about your destination. Learn about where you're going to. Understand the history, the culture, and the people. And learn to embrace the unfamiliar. That when you travel, there's going to be the unfamiliar, but with unfamiliarity comes growth. And as you learn to embrace the familiarity, not only will you grow, but you'll have some wonderful experiences along the way. So those are kind of some of my tips. I've written a blog post on this where I've explained a little bit more on why I think the way that I do on this. If you're kind of interested in this, you can go and you can check this out here. You really can travel without internet today, and you can travel without your phone. We a lot of times, like when many people travel, they proprietize. They want to stay in the most expensive hotels. They want to eat in the finest restaurants. But I feel like if that's all that your travel is, then you're missing out on some great experiences and some great opportunities. There's nothing wrong with wanting to stay in the best hotel. I am not against that at all. I stay in many fine hotels around the world. But I can tell you that when you stay in some of those finest hotels and you stay in local hotels, you usually have different experiences between the two. But despite all that, today travel is quite convenient. Yes, there are, overcrowded trains. Yes, security can be a hassle at the airport. Flights can get delayed. Checked luggage can get lost. But however, overall, travel compared to what it used to be is quite convenient. You can go on a trip for 2 weeks to another part of the world and be able to go back and forth. In the olden days, you'd have to take a ship for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. You'd be months out months out traveling before you'd ever make it home again. Traveling used to be a lot more difficult and a lot less convenient than it is today. And I think that's what we need to remember, those of us that are traveling, that, the other thing which I've noticed too, and this is another one of my bandwagons or soapboxes, I guess you could call them, I'm going to step on here for a minute, is, the world has become more homogeneized. The world has become quite similar. I remember once I was in China and I was in it was a hotel that was one of the Marriott hotels. And these people were, at this time when I was there, China did not have a McDonald's. And there was an American family there and they said, oh, we need to go down to Hong Kong to go to McDonald's. And I thought, you're going to go all the way to Hong Kong just to go to McDonald's. That's one of the great things that I find in travel is trying out the local food, eating some of the local delicacies, eating the way the locals eat, and not just spending your time at Subway and McDonald's and Starbucks, which are three things which seem to be in most parts of the world, but instead, going and exploring other types of food and other types of things. Get to experience them, because that's part of also traveling, going out and traveling, to immerse yourself in the moment, in the culture, in the food, and the people, and to be able to learn from each of them. So make your journey become transformative, that it will transform you and transform your life in the process of all of this travel. I really think that travel is more than just ticking off, your landmark from a checklist. It really is about going into the country's fabric. I've been so surprised many times as I've watched people travel, how it's just all about, getting the shot at a certain landmark, saying to people, I was here, posting it onto their social media. So people will go, oh, wow, that's so cool. You're there. And that's what it is. But they don't really know what they're seeing. They don't know much about the culture that they're seeing. It's only about getting a photo and showing people and then ticking it off their list and say, I saw that. Travel really to me means that you delve into the culture, that you get to know the people, the location, the fabric of the society. You engage with the locals, you understand their way of life, and you forge meaningful connections with people as you're traveling. That's really what travel should be. Our ancestors really immersed themselves in the travel experience. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have the communications that we have today. And because of that, they immersed themselves in the travel experience. So if you want to have an example of what you could do, look back and think about that time when they didn't have the connectivity of the world which we have today. We're going to put a description, as I said before, in the description. We'll put in our blog post that you can check it out and learn more about some of these things that we're talking about. We'd like to thank you for listening, for being a part of our community. We hope that you've enjoyed this. If please give a thumbs up, like us, subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you be part of our community, a part of who we are and what we're doing. A Bus on a Dusty Road, our blog, is all about living life as a global citizen. I personally have written a book that's up there. On there, you can find out more about the book, which talks about living lessons that I've learned throughout living in Asia. And we hope that you'll take the opportunity to really live your life as a global citizen.